Okay, let's get started. I want to welcome you all to our Doctorate of Education, Applied Learning Sciences information session. We are going to cover a lot of content and ultimately hope that this will help you determine if our program is going to be a good fit for you. My name is Elisa Milang. I'm an enrollment advisor here at the University of Miami, the online division. If you should decide to apply, you will speak with one of our enrollment advisors, and they will be able to help you throughout the whole application process. We have a lot of information that we will cover tonight, and we hope that you will find this information useful. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. We understand that your time is valuable and we want to be courteous of that. The session will be 45 minutes. There will be a recording available after the session. And again, we're going to cover a lot of content, so please use the chat box to ask any questions you may have. Either myself or one of our instructors, professors, will be able to answer those questions for you. If you have any specific questions with regards to application items or financial aid, be sure to connect with one of our enrollment advisors. The program itself is 2.5 years to complete. It is a total of 15 courses. You're taking 7 weeks per course, and then you will have about a week or so break in between, and then you will continue to your next 7-week course, and you will have a cumulative project at the end. I'd like to introduce to you our faculty and alumni panelists for this evening. We have Dr. Jennifer Kahn, Dr. Jennifer Krawick, and we have Dr. Tiffany Rose. Can we go around and everybody say a little bit about themselves? Let's start with Dr. Jennifer Kahn.
Sure. So hi, everyone. I am the program director for our Applied Learning Sciences EDV program. I'm also assistant professor in the Department of Teaching and Learning. My role with the program is I'm also faculty, so I teach courses, including capstone seminars, and I meet with a group of core faculty to make governance decisions for the program so we can continue to improve the experience for our students. So thank you for joining. We're excited to potentially have you join our program.
And Dr. Jennifer Krawick.
Hi, everyone. I will welcome you as well. I'll echo Dr. Khan's comments. I do also see some questions already in the chat. So the chat itself is not where you'll be posting any comments or questions. You can do that right in the Q&A and we will try to answer those. So thank you for being here. Whoever hears an echo, it may be your audio. I don't think anyone else is experiencing it, but welcome to everyone.
And Dr. Tiffany Rose.
Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Tiffany Rose, and I'm a recent graduate of the program. I just graduated in May of this year.
Welcome. Dr. Jennifer.
Yeah, I'll take this one.
Yeah.
So this is a snapshot of our curriculum. So the way our program is designed is that we have our students engage in courses that introduce them to theories of how people learn, whether as individuals, as groups, or part of an organization. We also have a series of courses in which our students engage in design of learning experiences and the revision of innovative learning environments to enhance human learning. And then we have a third set of courses around assessment. So how do you assess and evaluate learning, whether that's individual or social, taking into consideration the context and technology and other factors that may advance or impede learning. The courses kind of run through mini cycles of learning, design, and assessment, and they culminate in a series of seminars that guide you through your capstone project, which is our culminating project for the program. We don't have a dissertation or thesis. It's a capstone project, which can be an individual or a group project where you design a learning experience, you implement that learning experience, and then you evaluate it. So that's a quick snapshot of our program curriculum.
Thank you. So as we get started now, I'm going to be asking a few questions um, about the program, your roles within the program for our professors, and as well as to Tiffany, a lot of questions about her experience here at the University of Miami within our program. To get started, um, since we were just speaking about the curriculum, how is it designed to be able to help students be successful in real world scenarios?
Sure. So the nature of our program is applied. So in all of your courses, you're getting introduced to theories of learning as well as recent research on innovative learning designs and approaches to improve human learning and support human learning across contexts. And the idea is that our students are able to apply best practices from the research as well as the theories that they get introduced to and apply that to their specific context. Usually most people are in throughout their program think about their own professional work context and how to improve learning in those places. So there's opportunities across our courses for students to consistently apply what they're learning to their own professional context. And that then continues or comes around in full for our capstone project, which is it's an applied project where students have to again design a learning experience, implement that learning experience, and evaluate it, informed by both theory and research, kind of all the knowledge that you've gained in the program leading up to that point. So I
Thank
think
you.
I'll leave it there. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And what do you consider, again, for the professors let's chat with Dr. Krawick. What do you consider to be the greatest strengths of the faculty who teach this online doctorate program?
I would say we all bring sort of different areas of expertise. So one of the things that faculty all really appreciate about teaching in the program is that our students come from really varied backgrounds. So we have military, we have healthcare, we have those in the corporate world, we have preschool teachers, we have principals. It's really such a range from really around the world. We've had students in Singapore, in the Middle East, in London, in Miami. And that diversity is thus necessary too, that our faculty have these varied backgrounds. And so we have some with expertise in veteran affairs, we have some in expertise in more formal, some in expertise in informal learning contexts. And so as students go through the program, they'll be able to learn the content from really different perspectives, which is pretty critical given how broad the field is.
Thank you. And Tiffany, to speak a little bit about you and your experience. Why did you ultimately choose the University of Miami? What was your experience throughout the program?
So the choice kind of came to me, to be honest. I was actually enrolled in another PhD program, maybe 3 or 4 years before I got into this program. Unfortunately, my dad got sick and I became a caregiver, so I had to stop that program, but I didn't really like it. And to be honest, even though I wasn't sure if and when I would get back to school, I didn't know if that's the program I wanted to go back to because I didn't like it. And so one late night, I was scrolling Instagram and just happened to see an ad from University of Miami for this program. And so I'm like, interesting. And the selling point for me was that the applied capstone learning experience, that was something I've never heard of before. And I thought it was interesting. And then when I looked at the coursework, I also saw that it was that applied factor. So I'm a person that likes to learn theory, but also apply that theory to something so that I can walk away with something. And so that just really garnered my interest. And I was correct in joining the program because that's exactly what my experience was. Yes, we learned theory. Yes, we wrote papers and things of that nature, but we also produced things and we also got to look at the theory through the lens of the context in which we currently work. And so I think that's what made the program very interesting.
And since we were discussing the capstone and without going too much detail into exactly what is done within the capstone, what was your experience?
It was a great experience. So I wasn't a person like many of my cohort members. A lot of them had experience doing different types of thesis inside of their master's programs. I didn't have to do that in my master's program. So I was like brand new to research. And this program really prepared me for that throughout the capstone. But overall, my experience was great. I did a group capstone, which I was fully against at first in the program. For most of the program, I wanted to do an individual capstone, but because of the networking experience in the program and working a lot with my cohort members, I actually changed my mind and decided to do a group project.
That's great to hear. Since you touched on network, for our professors, the University of Miami has a far-reaching alumni network and impressive reputation as a leader in higher education. How does this online program help students leverage these advantages, especially as our students are based all over the country? Who would like to take that?
Sure, I can speak a little bit about the network. So for students, especially coming in now, uh, they have access to a strong and growing network of professionals, both at the university level, but now also at the program level. And so we're actually actively doing things to connect our alumni with current students. We have a LinkedIn group, and this is an area you can expect to see a lot of activity in the near future, in the next year or two, as we really ramp up our alumni network and connections, and including events like fireside chats and things like that, that we hope will bring people together, not only our alumni, but also current students. Um, so, and then of course, yeah, the U, the U's network is a global network that all of our graduate students have access to and can be full participants in. Anything else, Dr. Howard, to add on to that?
No, I thought that was thorough. I would just echo that there's sort of the university level, there's the school level, network and resources, and then this growing and really thriving community of learning scientists now who are earning their doctorate and then going out and doing this really cool work.
Tiffany, since we were still discussing, I would like to continue to discuss the networking. How was your experience with your peers? How did, because I know with online programs, a lot of times people are worried they're not going to have that student experience, that personal experience. How was that for you? What did you guys do in order to feel connected to each other?
So in many of our courses, we had group projects. And so we got the opportunity to work with different people. That's actually what changed my mind when it came to deciding what I wanted to do for my capstone, because again, I was really hard on just doing it alone. But we had many group projects, and we got to see how our personalities, our interests, we got to learn about each other's learning contexts. And we saw some similarities in some of the needs and some of the gaps that we saw. Like, for example, my capstone group, one was located in Miami. I'm located in DC. Another was located in Massachusetts. And we saw that there were a lot of similarities. In addition, something that was underrated, and I didn't necessarily see its value until the end of the program, were the discussion boards. Because not only did we get to introduce ourselves at the beginning of each course, so you learned about each other in those, but you got to respond and see everyone's ideas and learn from each other. And I didn't value that as much until I got towards the end, and I realized how all of that interaction really was fruitful in the end.
And Tiffany, can you tell us a bit about your career path since you've graduated? Um, how did the doctorate degree give you a leg up, or how is it giving you a leg up, whether you're already in a career path or searching for a career path? Tell us more about that.
So I just graduated in May, so I'm still a newbie, but
Okay.
it has widened my impact within the the position that I'm currently in. So I started as a classroom teacher at the beginning of starting this program. I have moved into being a reading interventionist. But in both of those positions, I have been able to widen my impact, meaning that I've been able to not just focus on students, but then create professional development and coursework for other teachers. And I've done that before starting this program, but I had a very passive role. So the people that I worked with, they had a vision and I just executed the vision. But since having the pedagogy from this program, I've been able to be a visionary and be part of the person or the team who designs the vision, because I have the knowledge to know why certain things and why certain design elements work when developing professional development. And I've done that district-wide and also school-wide for my specific school that I work at.
And Tiffany, just to continue on with you a little bit, because this is all about the student experience. And how did you make this work for you? Work, school balance. How did that look like for you? What did, let's say, a week of working, and how did you find the time to study, to go over your curriculum, to do your home assignments?
While this is a rigorous program, it is very doable. As I stated earlier, I was a full-time or a part-time caregiver to my dad who needed round-the-clock care. I was also a full-time classroom teacher, in addition to being a student in this program. So if anyone's concerned about that, hopefully I'm proof that you can do it. And so one of the biggest tips that I would give is that work a week before. So in each course, they're pretty much designed or structured similarly. So for example, you might get the readings released that Sunday for that week, or maybe the week before, and you'll be able to read ahead of time. So for example, if we're in week 2 and I know that a discussion board is due on Tuesday, I would take the Saturday before, do my readings, jot down the ideas that I want to answer the discussion board so that I'm able to answer it on time by Tuesday. That's normally how most of the courses were designed. You'll have a discussion due on Tuesday, and then you'll have to respond to at least 2 people on Thursday. And then when you have bigger assignments, they're usually due on the weekends. So it gives you time throughout the week to do certain pieces so that you're not inundated with a lot all in one. And so that was a strategy that worked for me. I spent a lot of Friday nights, Saturday mornings, Saturday afternoons doing things in preparation for the week ahead.
Thank you. And then for our professors, Dr. Khan, if you can, since again, work-life balance, school balance, how does the faculty make themselves accessible for the students? How do you, whether it be for discussions, questions, what does that look like on your behalf? And how do you guys make yourself available?
Sure. So the standard thing is it's a 7-week asynchronous course, but faculty host a 1-hour weekly office hour for students. Sometimes a little longer. Usually it's 1 hour, and that's a synchronous office hour that you can join to engage live with your professor and your peer students. That office hour is always recorded, and the recording is then subsequently made available to students to watch if you, for whatever reason, they can't join. So that's kind of the standard across our courses. But in addition to that, all of our courses are available to set up one-on-ones. You just need to send them an email, arrange a meeting time that works for you and the faculty member, and then you can connect with them. And actually, our capstone project seminars, those kind of function more like that. You're arranging, I'll say one-to-one, but really it's like your team and your faculty chair are meeting on a regular basis over Zoom in during meeting times that kind of work for you. So it gets pretty personalized towards the end. But our faculty are readily available to meet with students over Zoom, on a phone call, in a time that works for them. So it's really it's up to the student to reach out for that. It is a graduate program, right? So, but our faculty are very happy to and delighted really to meet with students and get to know them better. So that's kind of the standard for most courses.
And Tiffany, how was to piggyback off of Dr. Khan, and how they made themselves available? How did you feel your interaction was with the faculty?
They were very welcoming. I mean, they want you to succeed. There's not, sometimes you get in, my experience before has been where faculty, they kind of want to make it hard for you. And even though, again, this is a rigorous program, you got the sense that they wanted you to succeed. They wanted you to graduate. I would suggest for prospective students to watch the office hours. Every professor had an office hour, is usually at the beginning of the week, like a Monday or a Tuesday. You can watch it. They also recorded it if you weren't able to watch it live. I always encourage that. All of the professors answered emails within 24 hours, a lot of times way less than that. That was a huge expectation that they gave themselves. And our advisors, especially our capstone advisors, there was a lot of interaction there. We met with, my advisor was Dr. Elbum, met with her once a week with my group. And she was very accommodating, and it was a great experience. And again, being a caregiver, my dad also passed away literally a few months before graduation. And I remember I was starting a new class, one of our courses, 3 days after he passed away. And I emailed the professor and I said, hey, class is starting. My dad passed away. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to keep up. I don't want to stop the program. Do you have any advice, anything that you can help me with? And he was actually more than willing to change kind of the deadlines for me so that I can still complete the course within the time, the 7 weeks, but kind of move the deadlines around for me. So I am a testament that the faculty is great and they're very caring as well.
Thank you. And I'm sorry to hear about your father passing. Dr. Jennifer Krawick, for a busy professional, what would you say are the key highlights and advantages of completing this program? And how many hours would you say, if you had to put a number to it, should a student dedicate to their degree each week?
That is a difficult question. I think it will vary somewhat by course. I would say I would echo what Tiffany said, that if you can position yourself to start early and stay on top of things as they come, you are going to be most successful. It is definitely doable with balancing a career. I think most of our students have fairly demanding careers that they are juggling, home life, personal things, and we as faculty recognize that. So one of the things that I think we have touch points at the end of every semester to look at what's working, what's not working, how can we adjust, with the goal of the content that's included in a course is like core, central, and critical to what we want students to get out of it. So we look to minimize. This is not like you need to have this many pages of readings and it's a doc program, so we're going to overload you with content. We're really thoughtful about what is critical for students to learn, such that when they complete this program, they can go out into the field with their doctorate and do meaningful work. And that means it is a heavy lift to complete this program, but we are really thoughtful about what it is that we're trying to produce at the end of it. And so it's going to look different for different students. So we have some students who come in who've done a ton of academic writing in their previous training. And so they come in and they might find that a lighter lift because they've been doing it. And we have other students who've come from a really like practitioner field where they've been doing a lot of the doing. And so they bring a ton of experience and knowledge that's so critical to learning, but they may be a little bit rusty with some of the writing and synthesizing that's required in a doc program. And so where effort is delegated is probably going to be pretty unique to the student's background. But I would defer to Tiffany to say how many hours you would dedicate a week. But this is not a program that you can kind of skim through and submit. And it's not a program that you're going to coast in. And so if you're looking for a coast to get your doctorate, I'll say upfront, this is not the program for you, because we are so committed to producing students that go out and do good work in the field. That's really what our goal is here, in varied industries and fields and areas, and it requires a real commitment to do that. But we as faculty are also really cognizant of how much students have on their plate, and so we're constantly seeking feedback on how our courses are working for students and ways that we can tweak it so that it optimizes learning in a way that still feels manageable and feasible for students.
Thank you. And I would like to see if there's, anything else you would like to add, that whether it be the professor, the faculty, or our alumni, Tiffany, if there's anything you would like to add that you feel that is important for a student coming in to know, or when making their decisions about the University of Miami.
I would say if you join the program, I know the capstone is like a huge kind of question mark throughout the program. You're trying to figure out what you can do to prepare before you get to the end. I would say, again, pay attention to the discussion boards. You can kind of see who has similarities to you, who has similar research interests or learning interests, as well as who has a similar learning context, because that will make it easier for you to pair up when it comes to group projects and the capstone project if you decide to do a group project. Another thing I would say is really hold on to those resources that you get in the classes. I know that made the capstone design and writing the paper for the capstone a lot easier because we were able to be inspired by the wealth of information we got throughout the program. We really didn't have to find too many more resources than what we already had. So I would say really hold on to the resources that you get in your theory classes as well as your design classes. And really network. So try to work with different people in each course. So when you get a group project, try to work with someone different so that you kind of get an idea of your full cohort, and then you decide who are your people that you'll do your capstone with. And I think you'll be very successful.
And Dr. Khan or Dr. Krawick, any final comments?
I would just say, in terms of for our students to be successful, I would say for the students that reach out to faculty, that attend the office hours when they can, or if they can't, make sure to watch those recordings. Those are the students that tend to be the most successful, able to manage their time and do well and to get the most out of their courses. Um, I mean, there are a couple other things about our program, but at least I don't know if you have any other questions you were going to ask. But I want to note that I think our strengths are highlights that I hope our guests today maybe take away. But our strengths of our program are not, and from my perspective, one is our faculty. They really do care about our students and they care about their success. They all are bringing different expertise. Dr. Kraut spoke to this a little bit as well, and they want to share that expertise with the students who are our soon-to-be colleagues, right, in the field. And so that's one strength of our program is the attention and care that our faculty and the program overall gives to the student experience. And we are constantly working on revising and iterating the program, and because that's what we teach you all, that design and learning experience is an iterative process where you go through cycles of implementation and revision, and we take that same approach to our own applied learning sciences program. So that's one strength I want to highlight. The other thing I'd like for our guests to take away today, which maybe we haven't spoken about yet, but is the diversity in terms of regards of our student body. So we have students who are coming from not only around the world, but from many different professional backgrounds. And they are all excellent in their respective fields. And we have people who are coming from K-12 schools, right? Like Dr. Rose. We have other folks who are in higher education, but or in education technology, but we have plenty of people who are also coming from other fields, whether it be business or government. Maybe they're part of the armed forces. so we've had like military, we've had folks who are, you name it, we've had students come from those fields. We've had people who work in nonprofit sector, who work in HR, who and the thing that brings everyone together is the interest in how people learn in those respective contexts. And from my perspective, the diversity of professional backgrounds is really a strength of a program, and that you can learn something about your own context from listening and working with another student. Um, and so yeah, so that's just something, another thing I'd like for our attendees to take away from this evening.
And I do have one more question, and it's a question that as enrollment advisors, we do get often, especially for somebody that has, not been in school, let's say for a few years. Maybe their master's degree was in something totally different and are embarking a new adventure. How would you say this program for someone that does not have, let's say, a background in education, how would you say this program is still made doable for them? That it's like, how is it a complete program to transition them into that?
For someone who's coming from industry or non-educational sector
Yes.
into our degree. So like I said, we know our students are coming from different backgrounds, and so our program, we expect that, and we try to leverage that actually and build on kind of the resources and knowledge that each of our students are bringing from their respective fields. But our courses are wide ranging. So we have courses on designing online learning environments or setting organizational learning, right? And that's not just specific to a school or a university, but rather you're going to be working with principles that are applicable whether you work at a law office or a healthcare company, or yes, a institution of education like a higher ed, like a university or a college or something like that, or a K-12 school. So we are designing our courses knowing the diversity of our students with that in mind, and this draws from the field of the learning sciences, where we like to think about learning as lifelong and life-wide, right? And we know that learning takes place across networks in many contexts with different kinds of tools, and that's what we infuse into the design of our program. So there's all those opportunities for application that I spoke about at the beginning. That's also one way that our students who are coming from non-education backgrounds are able to transition into, I guess, the field of thinking about learning is through those opportunities of application that we have consistently across our program and course content. So I don't know, Dr. Crow, if you have anything to add to that.
Sorry, I'm struggling to both answer questions in the chat and then train on what the question is that's being asked. So
so the question being asked is, like, how do we support students who are not coming from an education background, which we have many, right, or coming from like industry or other sectors?
Got it. So one of the classes that I teach, I think, is talks about theories that are exactly this, which is how do you differentiate and meet the needs of all learners when learners are coming from really different backgrounds. And technology is amazing for that. But we talk about universal design for learning, and we also incorporate it into our instruction. And so you have the core assignments and readings of the course, and then inevitably there's going to be supplemental resources and questions about this. Here's a folder that has additional readings or resources for that. We have opportunities where if we're talking about a concept, and inevitably some students are like, oh, my master's was in that, and others have never heard of the terminology. And so I'll circle back to what Dr. Khan was saying earlier, which is, I think for every student, you will find yourself in a course that's like, this is right up my alley. And you will find yourself in another course and you feel like, I don't belong here because I don't know any of this. And that's kind of the point. And so for those classes, when you get to one and you're like, this is pretty outside of my wheelhouse, utilizing the instructor, and often our courses have teaching assistants as well, reach out early, reach out often. All of us who teach in the program know that you all have full and busy lives that are going on. I meet with students, I try to not make this a standard practice, but I've met with students at 10 at night. I've met with students at 8 in the morning. And so we know that to meet students' needs, we bring a ton of flexibility and we try to build into our coursework options that meet the inevitable variability that our students have, because we do have these sort of unique and varied backgrounds that our students bring.
Thank you so much. And thank you to our faculty and alumni panelists for attending this evening and answering questions. If we did not get to your questions tonight, please feel free to email us. Your enrollment advisor will also be able to assist with answering any questions that you may have as well. So just to go over a few of our resources that we have at the University of Miami, we have that are made available to you. We have our Topo Career Center. We have a Graduate Student Association. We have our online library. There's disability services and much more. And in order to apply, I'm going to go over a few of the requirements. You need to have your transcripts. Initially, you can apply with your unofficial transcripts, and then once you are accepted, then you are able to submit your official transcripts. You will need to have your most updated resume, a personal statement, which is just telling us a little bit about you, your background, why you're looking to do this degree, and what your future goals are. You will also need 3 letters of recommendation. They cannot be from a family member or a friend. They need to be professional recommendations. And then you have the option, of course, of either applying for FAFSA, or if you're paying out of pocket, or if you have some sort of outside scholarships, and to submit your online application. So here at the University of Miami, we have the upcoming early admissions deadline, which is Monday, July 7th. For anyone that is applying before Monday, July 7th, you will receive a $300 deposit fee waiver code and a 50% tuition waiver. I know that in the Q&A, somebody was asking about scholarships. The tuition waiver is what we offer, and it will be 50% if you meet the admissions requirements by Monday, July 7th. Meeting the admissions requirements means that you have your letters of recommendation submitted, all your documents submitted. And again, like I said, you can apply with your unofficial transcripts. So please keep that in mind. As long as you have that uploaded, your application will be considered again by Monday, July 7th. And you can reach out to any of our enrollment advisors at the number below. And we look forward to having you at the U.